A man posted online recently that a woman asked him about his political views on a first date. He said that it felt like a job interview. And the comments did, of course, what comment sections do. Half of them said, good for her, and the other half said, see, this is exactly why dating is broken. I think both of those camps are missing something, and that's what's actually happening inside of Gen Z dating. Young women are trending more politically progressive, while young men on average are trending more conservative. And that gap, according to both Gallup and Pew data, is larger right now than it has been in decades.
Look at this graph!
So when a woman asks a man what he thinks about reproductive rights on a first date, she's not being dramatic, she's doing math. Because here's the thing that nobody seems to want to say out loud: your politics are not just your opinion anymore. They tell me whether you think my body should be a legal question. They tell me whether or not you believe my queer friends deserve to exist. They tell me whether or not in a crisis if you'll choose me. That's not small talk or a checklist. That is a woman doing the math to see if she is safe with you or not.
I can't help it if you're no good at math. I can't help it either. And I am good at math. I'm good with accounting. I can't do trigonometry. What am I supposed to do? I don't know.
The question that I want to answer today in this video is, why are so many young women treating dates like compatibility screenings? And is that actually a problem, or is it the most rational thing we've done in decades? So come stay with me for a few minutes. There used to be a calculation that would run in the background of every woman's dating life, whether she knew it or not, and it looked like this: a bad relationship is still better than no relationship. That was the math for most of recorded history, because being single as a woman wasn't just awkward, right? Being single as a woman was financially risky. It was socially isolating, because you're the weird single spinster lady. It was also physically dangerous at times. Marriage was access. It was legitimacy. It was a roof over your head. So yes, women tolerated incompatibility, bad politics, and bullshit. They tolerated men whose values were horrifying because the alternative was actually worse.
I would like you to crunch those numbers again.
It's programmed. There's no such thing.
Just crunch them. Just crunch them, please.
Crunch.
Did it help?
The good news is that math has drastically changed, and many more women are financially independent. There are more women financially independent right now than at any other time in all of history. More women have degrees and income and their own housing, and our mothers and our grandmothers, our ancestors, they are cheering us on, ladies. We're killing it. The social stigmas around being single at 25, 38, 42, it's not gone. I'm not going to pretend like it's gone, but it's definitely loosening, right? So there's new math now. Common Core.
A lot of boring math later.
The math now looks like being single is better than being in a relationship that undermines me. And Gen Z women got to grow up mostly living inside of that new calculation. So they've watched their mothers, their aunts, and women online manage the weight of bad relationships. They've seen their mothers apologize for messes and tempers that they didn't lose, and they decided they want something different. I, of course, think about this through my own lens, as do we all. I mentioned this in my I Don't Date White Girls video. I'll link that up above. But for me, as a pansexual woman, attraction genuinely has never been checklisty. The people, if we did a lineup of all the people that I have been romantically interested in or dated, I mean, you're gonna have all colors, genders, sizes, shapes, sexualities. So rigid filters around appearance have always felt super foreign to me, but values, that's different. I have that justice sensitivity thing. That's a big deal to me. So if I'm in the room with someone who is anti-LGBTQ+, that's not a disagreement we can navigate over time. We're not going to come to an agreement about this. That is an active rejection of who I am, of what I believe, of what I stand for and advocate for, of the people I surround myself around. I'm not dating you.
You can't sit with us!
It's not even about politics in the abstract. It's about whether I can be a whole person around you. Sorry if you hear screams. It's probably my husband frolicking in the living room. With our kids. It's not ideology just for ideology's sake. It's, can I be myself and be safe around you? Now let's talk about why some men are upset about this. Because it feels like a job interview is a very specific complaint, and it's worth unpacking, at least in my opinion, because the job interview framing implies what? That dating should be mysterious, suspenseful, a situation where you get to slowly reveal yourself and I get to decide if I like you based on vibes. What that framing is really protecting is some men's weird assumed access to women. For most of modern history, a man could hold traditional views about women's roles, about who deserves rights, about whose voices count, and they could still expect partnership. His beliefs were his private beliefs, and also hers, because that's how marriage worked. The discomfort is that his worldview is now a variable that she is accounting for, and that's new. I'll tell you why I'm so passionate about this. I've lived this. So years ago, my husband and I were sitting in a parking lot having a political conversation, and it slowly dawned on me that we weren't just disagreeing about policy issues, we were actually disagreeing about what people deserve. As a biracial woman in an interracial relationship, of course, that moment hit pretty hard. Because when those types of beliefs show up around things, especially identity markers like race, they stop being theoretical very quickly. Now, me and my husband, we ended up being the exception to the rule. My husband has since done a lot of work, and he's managed to pull his privileged head out of his white ass. And these days, he actually uses his platform to do a lot of anti-systemic racism work in the construction industry. But nevertheless, that moment sticks with you, and it is a moment that could have been avoided with, oh, I don't know, more questions at the beginning, because if that had been a belief that he had continued to hold, our relationship wouldn't have made it. So that's exactly why people are asking these questions sooner. So we don't end up stuck in a relationship years later with someone we don't know. Values are so important because values tell you who somebody is when life gets hard. As a mixed person, I have a lot of stories where I'm the only brown person in the room. And I was once in that situation for a significant family argument over the Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the national anthem situation. And a particular family member's reaction genuinely caught me off guard. The intensity of their reaction, the anger, the outrage, in that moment, that told me something about how they see the world, and I can't now unsee that. So, of course, me and this person, we didn't stop being family. This is still my family, but I did start holding a bit more distance because, like Colin Kaepernick, my children and I are brown. And I'm realizing if things get tense, I don't know if your instincts are going to be to protect people that look like us. And that changes how much of yourself you allow other people to hold. And right now, things are hard enough. So knowing matters. We have ICE plucking people off of the streets, children literally being zip tied in the back of fucking vans, reproductive rights are being rolled back state by state, healthcare is a disaster, but never in my life have I actually been able to feel the increase in price of groceries like I can right now. When your day-to-day is literally shaped by political decisions, then politics stop being abstract. You have to grow up now because it actually does matter. Because now it becomes, does this person's worldview make my life harder or easier, safer or less safe? That's the context that I feel like the job interview complaints are missing. I do want to throw a little wrench in my argument and complicate it for a second because I genuinely do believe in value screening. I think women and everyone else should know what they actually need from a relationship before they're 2 years in and exhausted. But because misogyny, capitalism, all the things, there is a version of this that tips into something different. And I do think it's important that I make sure that I name that as well, because there's a difference between screening for values and optimizing for status. Asking someone, if they believe in LGBTQ plus rights, that's a values question and filter. Asking whether they voted for a candidate who actively supports policies that affect you, your body, your life, values filter. But things like a rigid salary threshold, height requirements that are treated like moral standards, these weird high value I hate the high value female discourse. Please. Why is every man who declares he's high value literally the worst? High value man is literally like a dog whistle at this point, in my opinion. If you say it, I know what you are. I know. I hear you. So in my opinion, the question isn't, should you screen? Yes, you should screen. The question is, what are you screening for? And why? Screen for whether your core values about how people should be treated align with this person's. Don't reduce people down to just data points. That's a totally different project. Let me just tell you what I think is really going on here, because I don't think dating culture changed because Gen Z women woke up one day and decided to just make dating complicated. No, I think the world became a lot more high stakes, and I think women have responded to that change, and I think three things seem to have happened all at once. So you have the political polarization between young men and young women. Right now, it's reached levels that we haven't seen in decades, which means that heterosexual women right now looking for politically compatible partners are statistically working from a smaller dating pool. I am so sorry to my straight sisters, but that is not an opinion. That's actual documented polling data. There's also more economic instability, and it's made partnership feel more consequential, honestly. When you're already worried about rent and groceries and whether you can afford to get sick, adding an incompatible partner, you know what I don't need right now? The question, can this person show up, is no longer a romantic preference. Life is really hard and sometimes very scary right now. I need to know, can you fucking show up or not? And then, of course, they're all mad at therapy talk. All these conversations about attachment styles and boundaries and emotional labor. These are like topics that are now being brought up on the first date, whereas they used to happen years into the relationship, or honestly, not at all. What's actually shifting here is that women now have more power in the dynamic than they used to, and that power is showing up as selectivity. So first date questions that used to feel really bold and audacious, well, now it's obvious. Answer it.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers.
So all these deal breakers that used to be private, they're now being named earlier. It's not cynicism about love, but I do think it's what autonomy looks like early on, when it's still new enough to feel like surprising to everybody around us that it's happening. And yeah, some men are really upset about it. And to them, I would say adjustment is hard. But what's being asked of you is really not that complicated. Your worldview now has social consequences. You can believe whatever the hell you want. You just might not get laid. You just can't believe it invisibly anymore. Sorry. I want to be careful not to leave you with something too tidy, because this is nuanced. The real tension is about what intimacy looks like in a environment where trust is genuinely hard to build culturally right now. It makes sense that people, especially women, are screening harder and just moving a bit more carefully. If this video resonated with you, then you're gonna love my middle ground video. It's on what I call trad wife math. I focus on a conversation where several men insist that they want to be the leaders of their homes. But when you start unpacking what they actually contribute to these decisions, once again, the math gets a little bit weird. I'll link that above with my I Don't Date White Girls video. If you enjoy this kind of cultural overthinking, then would you consider subscribing and joining our little community here? We do this sort of thing every week. We take pop culture and things happening, and we try to really dig in and look at the systems and play behind those things. If that's interesting, you're gonna love it here. And of course, while you're at it, make sure you do something empowering for yourself today. Like, why don't you raise your standards or take a nap? You pick. Either one you pick, but whatever you choose, you deserve it.